Good. All right, perfect. So welcome you guys to, this is the final session. So let's think, we're in December. So we started these in September with Tactic 1, which is to build a database. Tactic 2, which is to feed it every day. Tactic 3, we went through last month, which is to communicate with your contacts in a systematic way. And then today is Tactic 4, which is where we're going to service all the leads that have come your way. So if we can kind of think back just a little bit, we went through, again, building that database and really having all of the content that we need for contacts, not just a name, not just an email address, but really having everything there. And then we talked about adding to the database. So having more details, maybe setting up some different tasks. Then we talked about communicating with your database in a systematic way. We really dug into smart plans on that and using the quarterly call smart plan, using the command app and using that to make your phone calls to be able to then track all of your activities, put everything in for that. And so what we're going to talk about today is how to then follow up or service all of the leads that have then come your way. So for example, if someone has maybe raised their hand and said, okay, maybe we are thinking of selling, or maybe someone has raised their hand and said, maybe we are thinking of purchasing, but we're a few months down, or we want to know, some additional details about it. So if we could start with this would be really helpful for me in the chat. So if you have like a potential seller lead, maybe you have a seller that says, we're 3 to 6 months out, or we're just kind of thinking, what are some things that you do in your business currently to just service those leads? So what items of value are you maybe offering them? So I'm a potential seller. I say, if the market was right, we would think about it maybe 4 to 6 months from now. Go ahead and just drop in chat. Maybe like, what are some things that you're doing with that potential seller? I'll give you guys just a moment to put some things in there. So a potential seller, maybe like 3 to 6 months out, just kind of dipping their toe a little bit in the water of maybe thinking of selling. So we'll see some things that we come up with. I'll give you just a second to put that in chat. So we have some that are coming through. So add them to a monthly market report. That's a great one. So they can start to see, like, sometimes they believe the market and technology more than us as a human. I don't know if anybody ever finds that. And so we can say to them, in this market, you could probably sell your home for X. But then really when they see it more in like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's a monthly market report, or that's what homes are selling for in this area. For some reason, sometimes they understand that a bit more. They are more open to that maybe. Yeah, keep in touch with information. That's a really great one. So keep in touch with information that is important to them, right? So that when they need to call you and when they're ready to sell, they remember who you are and they remember how to get to you. Mail them a note with your business card in it. That's big. So making sure that, when they need to get with us, that, that they know how to get to us. So let's kind of change it and let's think about buyers now. So maybe we have someone that's a potential buyer and they say, we'll use kind of the time frame that we're in. Maybe they say, like, listen, we know we need to buy, but we have to get through the holiday season first. Like, we can't even think about looking at properties right now. So maybe we'll pick this back up like beginning to mid-February. So we've got a buyer that's about like maybe 2 to 3 months out. I'll give you guys just a second, but what would you do if you want to just drop that in chat for a potential buyer that, again, we're like maybe that 3 kind of months out, because we know the market that we're potentially showing buyers right now is maybe not the market that we're showing buyers 3 months out. So yeah, so I see some things coming into chat. Thank you guys. So we would set them up on an MLS search so they're able to start to see the homes that are available in their price range in the location that they're looking for. So we can use technology for that. So setting them up so they can see everything is really, really big. Staying in touch with them, again, similar to how we did with the seller. So just making sure that we're top of mind. So perfect. So it sounds like you guys are doing some things like this already. What I want to talk about today is how you can use technology and how you can use specifically Command, just to kind of add some leverage to this, and maybe some things that Command, and specifically your website and some other actions in there, maybe some things that Command can do for you that maybe you didn't have a little bit of awareness around. So I wanted to start by just asking about sellers and then asking about buyers. We're going to kind of jump back and forth because I'm going to show you some different features and some different things. So first things first is I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to jump right on in. Give me just 1 second. And then if I can just get a thumbs up, if you guys are able to see my screen, that should be my command home screen, says welcome home, Sydney. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So first things first is we're actually not going to go through command first. We're actually going to look at something different. And so I pulled up my consumer website. Now, all of you have a KW website. You can find that by going into the consumer applet, which is the very last applet on the left-hand side of the screen in command. And that's going to let you know what your website address is that you can see. So we're going to think about sellers first. And so a lot of you in chat mentioned that if you're working with sellers, they want to know if they're like 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be, they want to know what's happening with the market. And they want to know specifically what's happening in the market where they live. And so some smart plans can be really helpful for that. We've talked about those previously. You might use a monthly neighborhood nurture that we can send out once a month, or we can send that out twice a month. So there is some really cool functionality there. And I wanted to show you how you can actually show a consumer how they can set themselves up for a search on your website, because then we have some just additional visibility into that. So we're going to talk about sellers first, and I'm going to use a zip code. Whoever drops their zip code in chat first is the one that we will use. So I'm going to open up my chat box, and if you guys just want to enter a zip code of an area that you work with sellers a lot in, and then whoever drops theirs in first, we will go in and we will use that zip code. So I'll give you guys just a second. All right, perfect. Dustin, I see you. Thank you so much. We're going to use that zip code. So all that I've done, you guys, is I've come to my website. This is my consumer website. This is my Keller Williams website that anybody can search on. And I'm going to come right in here. Now we can search by city. We can search by neighborhood. We can search by school district. You can actually even search by like a landmark. So we could search by a university. We could search by a large park. We could do all of these different things. I'm just going to do a zip code so we can get kind of like a lot of data all at once. And so thank you guys so much for dropping zip codes in chat. I'm going to use, as I mentioned, the first one that was dropped in there. So we're just going to enter that zip code. We're going to go right to that zip code, and we are just doing a home search right now. So we are just searching for homes. So you'll notice that right now we might be thinking like a buyer, but remember, we're setting this up, we're communicating and servicing all the leads that come our way. And I actually want you to think about a seller. And so you guys said so perfectly that sellers want to know what's happening in the market. They're thinking of selling 2, 3, 6 months from now. They want to know what's happening specifically where they live. So we're actually going to use this where we would generally think of this as a home search site. We're going to use this just a little bit differently. So I've come to my consumer site. I've entered that zip code that you guys shared with me. Thank you so much. And then you'll see that I start to see all of the homes that are currently available. So these are all of the homes that are listed. But again, we're thinking like a seller. So I'm going to make one little change here. I'm going to come right up here, and where it says for sale. So I've got this little kind of like thing that I can click on, this little button right here where it says for sale. I don't care about what's for sale, because I'm sure I could ask all of you and the answer would be yes. How many times has a potential seller said to you, well, that home over there sold for $371,000, and we know that's actually what it was listed for. It actually sold for X, right? Or it sold for $450 a year ago, but in today's market, it's going to sell for $360 or whatever it might be. So while yes, we might want to see the listing price, we know that with sellers, we really need to communicate the sold price. And so on your consumer website for all of North Carolina and all of South Carolina, we're really, really lucky that our MLSs play nice in this way. You'll notice that if you come up here to for sale, I have the option to come down to the very bottom, and I have this little green bubble right here that says recently sold. And so right over here, I'm going to just click right on this, and it's going to basically turn that on. And that's going to show me all of the recent solds in this particular area. And so this is going to be all types of properties. So again, I can come up and I can look at property type. And maybe you say, well, they're not selling like a townhouse or a condo, they're just selling a home. I can also click on home, and then it's going to sort that down just a little bit more. Now, this is going to show a ton of solds. This is going to go back like basically years. It's always going to show you the most recent ones at the top. So we want to communicate that. But what you could do is you could come in here and you could literally like show this to your friend, show this to a potential seller, and you could say, I'm going to walk you through how to do this. And then I want you to save this as your own search. So they would just come to your website. They'd be able to say, okay, show me what's recently sold. They could save that as a search. What you could also do is you could come in here just like I did with myself as a consumer. And what you'll notice is right up here, do you see how up here it's still my website, but then it has like search, postal code. This is the zip code that we did. So it's got this long kind of link here. So all I can do is take that link and I can copy this and imagine that I could take that and I could email that to a potential seller. I could even text it to a potential seller if I wanted to. I could show it to them on my laptop when I'm kind of at their property, and I could encourage them to save this as a search on my website, and they can even determine the frequency of how they're getting these updates. So they can say, we want this weekly, or we want this daily, or we want this, twice a month or whatever. So why do we think it's important that we're using our website for this? So I'm sending this to the seller. I'm saying, maybe you want to, start to look at this, start to look at recent solds. Why do I want to use my website versus like realtor.com or something different? Why am I wanting to use this? Anybody have any guesses on that? All good. So here's the thing that's really cool. Let's say that I send this to a potential seller and I see that they're not really looking at anything and they've created a safe search. And then I start to see, like maybe a month from now, that they're logging in and they're looking and they're adding different things, because I can see all of that in command, right? So I can see that they've logged in. I can see that they've favorited a home. I can see that they've done all of this stuff. So we start to then be able to see their activities and their behavior. And so it allows us to see that maybe they're starting to get a bit more interested, and maybe this might be a good reason to reach out to them. I've even seen some people take this link here and just post it on Facebook with some sort of wording of interested to know what homes are selling for in X market. So we can use this. This is really cool that we have this sold data. We can use this to not only systematically follow up with potential sellers, but we could use this really to potentially find more sellers through social media, or having this at open houses, or just different things like that. So again, because I know it's I don't want to say hidden, but it's not like where we kind of first go for that. So all we would do is come in, we're going to do that home search from the very beginning, and then we're going to click right up here where we've got the listing status, and the default, remember, is going to be for sale. And all we're going to do is come right down here to the very bottom, and we're going to see recently sold right there. And then we're going to hit that, and we're going to see the updates there. Now, just a little bit of like a disclaimer for this. As I mentioned previously, we're really, really fortunate that in both of our states, North Carolina as well as South Carolina, our MLSs allow sold data to be shown. There are many states where that isn't the case. So remember, on your website, you have a national website, so you can search for properties anywhere across the country. If we were searching in, say, Texas or different states, there's a lot of states where the MLSs don't allow sold data to be shown. So if for some reason you're working a referral or something and no data is coming up, know that that local MLS doesn't allow sold data to be shared. But I know most of us work really locally in North Carolina and South Carolina, so you're never going to run into that problem. So I'm curious, I just would love to hear, just by a yes or no in chat, how many of you knew that you could pull sold data from your consumer site? So just a yes or a no in chat. Did you know? Okay, awesome. So we have a yes. We've got some really great people that are paying attention, that yes, you were aware that you could pull that data. So love that. Another yes. Okay. So remember, I know sometimes we have so much, sometimes we forget what we have and how to use it. So, this might even be kind of like a cool interactive CMA. So you could still have the CMA that you're bringing, but then you could even have this and show this at a listing appointment, or, have that wherever you're meeting with people. So that's number one, where we're talking about the ability to really look and get hyper local as far as sold data. What I want to talk about next, still specifically on your website, is the ability for a buyer to set up a search. So we're going to do this again. I'm going to go back home and we'll do a different area. So if someone wants to drop their zip code in chat for me, we will do a different area for a buyer search. And I do see a question while you guys are dropping your zip codes. Is it better to set them up on a drip or send them the link and let them set it up? So Rick, that's a great question. I'm going to talk about how to set it up right now. If you wanted to set it up for them, we just need to make sure that we kind of have their approval to set it up, because we want to make sure that we're doing that. But then once it's been set up, it will automatically then just roll. They have to set it up the first time if you're not doing that. So if you guys want to just drop that zip code in for chat for me, otherwise I'll pull up my one that I always like to search by, which is Beverly Hills 90210, just because I like to look at the ridiculous listings that we have there. So we'll just go down that route. So let's do, I'm going to do the beautiful zip code of 90210. And we're going to look for some really ridiculous houses here. So we're switching roles a little bit, and we're going to say now that maybe we're a buyer that is searching. So we've come to your website and we just entered a listing area by doing a zip code. Now, I know a lot of you might have specific buyers that are like, it's got to be here and east of this, and it has to be right. They're like so particular about that. So I want to just drill down on some best practices of setting potential buyers up for some sort of saved search. So we're going to come right up here, and you'll notice we've got a map view over here. We can zoom that in. We can push that out as much as we want. Up here, we've got, again, for sale. We've got active, we've got pending, coming soon, new construction, foreclosures, and short sales. So maybe they say, I don't want to deal with foreclosures. I don't want to deal with short sales. I don't want new construction. I actually want it to be a residential resale. I would leave pending off, because then somebody falls in love with something and then we see that that's a house that is not really available. We do have this sliding scale of price here where we can really kind of look at these drop downs, or we can enter a price as well, but we're just going to leave the price off for that. And then we have property type. So do they want a house? Do they want an apartment? Do they want townhomes, lots, multifamily, all of that? Bedroom, bath count. And then under more, we do have the ability to also filter by square feet, lot size, the year that it was built. If it has parking, which we see that in more of like a larger kind of city area for parking. Amenities. Now, here's the deal with amenities. Remember, all of this data is pulling from MLS. So this has to be things that are clickable or checkable in MLS. So the more that we filter down, the less we're going to see. And then if they're having an open house, and then if there's been a price reduction within the last 7 days, which is a really, really nice filter if you have some buyers that maybe want to be able to see like what's been kind of updated recently. Now, something really nice is I have the ability over here on the left. Again, I can kind of move that map in. And so maybe we have someone that says like, it's this zip code, but it's specifically like this area. We can come right in here. We can move that around, and we can hit that draw button right at the top. And then you'll notice all of the listings, all of the properties go away once I've hit that draw button. I can come right in here, and let's say that they know I want to be like north of Santa Monica Boulevard. Like I have a really exact area that I want to be in. I can come right in there, and then it's only going to pull in homes that are within that area that I just drew. And then they can come right over here, or you could do this for them. We could save this search. We can give this new search a name. So we could call this like zip code 90210. And then it is a drawn area. And then how often do they want those email notifications? If they're really an active buyer that's looking right now, we could do daily, we could do weekly, we could do bi-weekly, or we could do monthly. In this scenario, we're talking about for this workshop that this is potentially someone that we're servicing the leads that are coming our way, but maybe they're not an immediate or a right now buyer. So maybe we're thinking, okay, weekly, and then I'm going to hit save. And then you'll notice that it's going to pop up and it's going to say that I've saved this search. It's because I've logged in. So I'm logged in right now as a buyer. Rick, to your question, some workarounds that we've seen if you were setting this up for somebody else, it's going to ask you to enter an email address and a password for them. So as long as they've said, yeah, set me up, it's fine, I'm good to receive emails. The workaround that we kind of recommend is use their email address for the email, and then for their password, use their phone number. And so that way they'll know kind of what's what, and you're not having to ask them for a password that they would actually use. And then they can change that at any time that they would like. And then if they've created that, or you've created that for them, what's really cool is right up here under saved, you're going to start to see that you have all of these different things. So the one that I just created is this zip code 90210. However, I can come in here and take a look at, I also set up something under Charleston, so I can come in here and look at that at any time. So they're not having to come in and create that new search every single time. And again, they can create searches anywhere across the country for this, and that will always live under their saved. And then as they start to come in and they say, oh, I really love this one, they can heart that property. They can add it to their favorites. They can even leave a note about it if they'd like to and just hit save. And then this is where on command, you'll be able to see what they're doing and when they're doing it. So as a buyer or as a potential seller, it's just nice to have that visibility because you're able to see like, oh, they're kind of engaging a bit more. So maybe they're saying they were 3 months out. Now maybe they're more like a month out or getting closer to that. So what I would really encourage you guys to do is go to your consumer website, which I'm going to show you in command where you would find that and how you actually know what your website is. And then I would encourage you to just log in as a consumer, set yourself up on a search, take a look around, get to know it, because we're getting really, really great feedback from the consumers that are using our website. So I think the more that you use it and know it and are able to speak about it, you'll see more people wanting to use it, and you'll see more leads and quite frankly, more activity. So I'm going to go into command just out of the website. And I do want to show you just how to find what your consumer site is in case you've never looked at it. So when we log into command, we've got all of these different applets over here on the left. And you will see that at the very, very bottom, the last one is your consumer website. And so if I click into that, it's going to literally have right up here, see your configured agent site here. And so I can click right on that link. That's going to take me right into my consumer website, where that's how I just started before the workshop with you guys, where we're able to see all of the details, all of the data right there. So I'm going to pause for just a second and just see if there's any questions just on doing it through the website before we do jump into one more thing that we can do with a contact that is also really nice. Any questions on that? We're good. Okay. So have any of you ever, and we can just do a yes or no in chat for this, have any of you ever set any contact up on a saved search through command? So just a yes or no in chat for me. Have any of you ever set up a consumer? Okay, awesome. Okay, so this also pulls from your website. So again, once they have set up an account on your website, then we can basically create a saved search for them. I'm going to show you how easy this is. And I'm going to show you some really cool tips and tricks with this. So I'm going to go into myself. I'm in here as a fake contact. Perfect. So I'm going to come right in here and you'll see I've got just basic contact details. This is just how we look at a contact. And then I'm going to come right over here and you'll notice I've got all of these different things over here on the right. So this is where you have the timeline, opportunities, smart plans, all of that. The very last option that we have right here is what we call a saved search. And you'll notice right here, I've got a saved search under this contact of zip code 90210. That's the one that I just created because this is the one that's tied to my website. So let's say that you've created that on the website and maybe this consumer says, oh, we also want to see, we're interested in also this other area. And we want to start to get like notifications about that too. So we can really easily do that. This is great, you guys, for maybe a potential buyer that like maybe they come into the open house and they're interested, but not in that specific house. And we want to add them. Maybe they're like lengthier in the search. They're 3 to 6 months out. I'll show you how to easily set this up. So we can come right up here under the consumer and we've got saved searches. And then we're just going to say that we want to create a new saved search. We have 3 different ways that we can do this. So one is we can do a custom search, which allows us to draw on a map. That's the one that I'll do in just a moment. We have a neighborhood and we have a zip code. So if we know the zip code, they're looking in that, we can do that. If they have a really specific neighborhood, we could do that. but I'm actually going to do a custom one. So I'm going to keep on custom, and then I'm going to click draw on map, and then I'm going to enter a location. So maybe we have someone that is interested in Greenville, South Carolina. We're going to do that, and then you'll see it takes me to the map where it's just kind of a larger area. So I can come right in here, I can zoom in, I can move things around, so I can get like really specific as far as where they're looking. And so maybe they want like really this area right here. I'm going to come right up here and I'm going to click draw, and then I can draw any shape. So if maybe they're like, we want this area here, and then we would be okay here and kind of down here. We don't want to be north of that, but we're okay. And we're going to come like right over there. So we can draw really kind of any beautiful creative art that you would like. And then we're going to say apply. And then this is where, very similar to your website, if they have a price, so they say we're comfortable being in between like 300,000, our max would be like 475. We just want to see anything between there. We are good with amenities. Like we'll kind of take a look at what it is. We know that we only want a house. So we don't want a townhouse. We don't want a condo. We don't want any of these. We don't want new construction. And then the listing status, we just want active and will keep coming soon. I don't want pending. I don't want to have to take a look at that. Bedrooms, baths. So we need to have like at least 3 bedrooms. We want at least 2 baths. Year built, we're good. Living area, open house, anything like that. We're good with all that. So we're just going to keep that. And then we're going to come next. And then right here is where you can give this save search a title. Now, I know all of you nice, amazing, wonderful people would never name this like, you know, unrealistic buyer search or anything like that. But just know that whatever you're saving the search as, the buyer is also going to see. So we might call this, we did Greenville for this one. So let me just find my mouse. Here we go. So we'll call this Greenville. Oops, you have to spell it correctly. We'll do downtown home search. And this is actually like kind of cool because you could have people search in multiple areas. So maybe it's like a dream home search, right? Maybe it's like a future mountain home search. So we could name these all different searches, which just kind of ties in a little bit to the emotions. And then right here, you'll see we've got the primary email for this contact. And so this is the email address that this is going to be sent to. And then right underneath here, I have the ability to send email notifications, and I can determine that. So I can say, what's the email frequency? Instant. Now, a note about this, you'll see it says instant and it sends within 30 minutes. That means if 7 new homes come on the market, they will get 7 new emails. So I just like a word of caution around that as it starts to look a little bit spammy. So if it's really an active buyer, we might want to say daily. I know there are some areas where homes are not coming on the market as frequently, and so we could do instant because maybe it's like 1 home every few days, but just have awareness of that it's really going to be instant with those emails. We've got a daily summary, we've got a weekly summary, we've got a bi-weekly summary, which is every other week, and then a monthly summary. So maybe we'll say, well, this one we'll do a daily because they're actually kind of really active and we want to make sure that we're doing that. And then we're going to choose create save search. So remember, they have to have created some sort of account on your website first, or you created it for them. And then that's what triggers this to then immediately be able to go. We can come in here at any time if they say maybe downtown Greenville is not for us and we don't want to look there anymore. We can trash that search, so we can delete it at any time, or we can edit it. So if we realize like, oh, 300 isn't going to get us what we wanted, maybe we want to push that to like 400 to 525, we can come in here and change that and make those changes. And then same thing, we're going to see in the timeline, you'll see that this save search has been created, but we'll actually see like things that they're favoriting, things that they're looking at. We'll see all of that here. Really nice. So just some nice things that we can do using your website, setting them up for searches as a buyer, as a seller, to make sure that we're following up with all the leads that come our way. Final thing that I want to show you guys is the ability to create and manage your tasks really, really easily through here. So I know a bunch of you said, like, if we have a potential seller, we want to make sure maybe that we're like sending them something, or we're following up with them, or we're reaching out to them. We could do a smart plan, absolutely. So we could go into the smart plan library. We talked about smart plans in the last workshop. We could definitely come in and we could take a look at those smart plans, but we can also come in and just create a one-off task for any particular contact. So maybe I've got this contact who's a potential buyer or a potential seller. I can come in and I can say, I want to create a new task, and I can associate multiple contacts with one task. So if I start to search by a name, you'll see anybody that falls under that will come up. We'll say that it's this one contact, and then I am going to associate that contact. Maybe it's a call task. So I'll see right here, I want to mark this as a call task. The task name is to call them. And then under the task description, I might say interested in selling in February. Call to check in with them and find out. So maybe we just want to do like a nice little check-in call. The priority level, we'll give that a medium. And then when's the due date? So I might say the due date is, I want to get through the holidays first. And so maybe I want to do like January 4th. We'll apply that. And then what's really nice is I have the ability to enter a hyperlink here, which I think isn't really used a lot, but here's what I think we might want to do is, again, we've come up here to where we have that home search. So maybe this is an area where we want to see like what's been recently sold or their particular area. I'm going to take that link, and that link I'm going to actually post right there. And then I'm going to create that task. And so then what's going to happen is when that task comes up, I can click on that link and it allows me to see at a glance the recent solds in the area. So like as I'm having the phone call with them and having the conversation, I can look up and I know maybe where they live. I can really quickly kind of have that up there really nicely, which is just some really nice stuff. So I know sometimes we use tasks so often in smart plans. I don't know so often that we do like the one-off task where it's really important that we're following up with the buyer or seller. So I would really get into the habit of anybody that says we're thinking of buying, we're thinking of selling, whatever it might be in the future, that we're coming in and we're using those tasks. And then that we're really making sure that we're looking at our command app daily for the tasks that are due. It's really nice that we can now call through the command app. We can do all of these different things. So just making sure that we're doing that. So those are the main things that I wanted to cover today. I knew this would be kind of short and sweet, just talking about how to set people up using your website, how to really manage tasks. I know we talked heavily about smart plans in the last workshop, so don't want to jump into that too much. And if anybody has questions or we want to discuss anything further, I'm happy to do so as well. Can we run a search in command to find all contacts where the smart plan was terminated? So meaning unsubscribed, Rick, is that? Okay, so we can come in, let me go into reports. We can come in and take a look. So if we just go into reports, which is the little kind of like bar graph over here, and then we come up here to emails, and we'll be able to see under all applets, we'll be able to see all applets, we'll be able to see email campaigns, and we'll be able to see smart plans. We're just looking at it for the month. So let me go into a month where I actually have data. Okay. And then we can come down here and we can look at what percentage have been marked as spam. I don't have any, so I wouldn't see any here, but if you had any that said it was spam or they unsubscribe, spam would be here, unsubscribed would be right up here. So we'd be able to see right here, if we click on view details, you'd be able to see any recipients that had unsubscribed from that particular smart plan. Does that answer and help with that? I'll wait for chat. But yeah, just under reports and then emails, and then you're able to see that all through there. Any other questions from anyone else?
So what if they change their email address? The email address is changed, or it comes back if you misspell it, and then you send out you don't realize it. Okay. Like for a day or two.
So that would come up under undelivered. So you would see that here under undelivered, that it wasn't able, unless it was somebody else's email that like also has that email that did it intend. But if it was like really no longer valid or came back or anything, you would see that as undelivered right here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great questions. I'm going to drop in chat, you guys, just one more time. Let me just pull this up. And these are just the 2 links if you want to make sure you click on those. One is the Carolinas Region YouTube channel, which is where we'll post all of our recordings from all of this. And then the other one is the Carolinas Regional Facebook page, which is where you'll see announcements and reminders for upcoming training. And then just one more time, we will be having the training next week, Tuesday the 13th from 1 to 2:30, but that will be physically in your market center. So we'll have a 90-minute workshop, which I'm really excited about that. So definitely get with your market center leadership for all the details about that. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. Have a great rest of your week. And if I can help in any way, please let me know. Bye, guys.